All right, and welcome to a special off-season edition of the Section 17 podcast. We are here with two of the big guys, Matt Craycraft, Brian Parker II.
Yep.
Dose. And these guys are in the middle. Well, not in the middle. Spring ball just started a couple of days ago. When we release this, spring ball will probably be closer to being halfway through or over. Man, guys, thanks for being on the podcast today. Really appreciate you coming out.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So spring ball, and it started, 3 or 4 days ago? Got a good weekend under your belt. How's the squad looking?
I think we're looking great. I mean, obviously we just got Darian in, so he's been playing great, leading the guys. I mean, Henry's been playing well. I feel like the O-line, a lot of us are coming back, which is great. So I think it's going really well. I think the whole team is just out there competing, which is what you want in spring. So.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I would say we returned so many guys from last year, so many key pieces. And the guys we've brought in have been looking really good, and some of the younger guys are getting a little bit more of an opportunity in spring ball to step up and show what they have and compete. And the boys are looking really good so far. It's been an exciting first few days of spring ball. And then Darian coming in, he's looking really good and kind of adds an extra explosiveness to our offense.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll ask you a question or two about Darian in a little bit. Obviously, this season was, I believe, a record number of true freshmen that came early and got here for spring ball. Anybody from that kind of young unit of the guys that were, literally just in high school, 2 months ago, that are now here spring ball, anybody standing out to you over the first, I know you guys have been working out, but now with actual spring practice?
Yeah, I think Nate Shepard's really stood out to me so far. Obviously, running back, I feel like he runs hard and hits it downhill. He's had a couple big runs. I think he had a touchdown today, so on this random Tuesday. No, he's been doing really well. Jamian Little's been playing well. Dan. I think a lot of guys have stepped up big, and they came here to play, so they're doing well.
Yeah, I'd give my shout out to Bryce coming in. He's a bigger kid out of high school, and he moves really well. And I've seen him hit a few hand swipes out there on the field. He's won some pass rushes, so I think he's a big body out there. So I think he'll be a guy that can develop a little bit quicker, maybe.
Yeah, so staying on that subject, obviously Bryce, highly touted recruit, top recruit in program history, local guy, Greensboro kid, with offers from everywhere, right? I believe the Final Four was us, Clemson, Georgia, and South Carolina or something like that. So obviously just Duke being in the picture there was great, and then to wind up with him. You mentioned that he's just big and strong and will develop quicker. I mean, as an offensive lineman, has there been another defensive lineman that's come in as a true freshman and kind of been as physically prepared and ready as Bryce seems to be? It's a good question, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
you could say no. You're not dogging your teammates.
I'm thinking back to the
thinking back to our years, probably Wes and VJ.
Yeah,
we're both pretty big guys ready to go. Especially VJ was, I think, a 4-star or something in the end.
Yeah.
When he came in,
I think VJ's big thing was just he was so long and slender.
Yeah.
And then he was able to put on the weight so quickly, right?
Yeah. Wes was sort of, I feel like, the same way. Like he got a lot bigger, stronger his freshman year. And that's not to say Bryce doesn't need to get stronger here. I don't want to give him too much props. But
keep him humble.
He looks good for sure.
Yeah, and obviously for Duke fans that are watching or listening, I mean, if Bryce Davis is in the same conversation as those two guys, that's exactly what Duke fans are hoping for, and pressure off the edge is so valuable in football at every level, and so really good to hear that. But other than that, you guys personally, spring, I know you're rehabbing and trying to get right. One of the things as I've gotten closer to the football program that I wasn't really truly aware of was I think we had a meeting with like a financial literacy or a financial partner back a few weeks ago, and like everybody in the room was like in some sort of sling or in some sort of boot, and like can you talk through that, just how the off season is like? It really is like a get right time because your bodies take such a beating for so many months, like leading up to the bowl game and then thereafter.
Yeah, you got to think seasons. You start in August and then you're not done till last year January 2nd or whatever it was. That's a long season. And you're playing a lot of snaps, a lot of games, and guys just over time, especially older guys, you're gonna have wear and tear. It's gonna happen playing such a physical sport. So we have this time right now to rehab. Like there's no like huge rush to get back. We're not in the season. Like we don't have a game coming up on Saturday that we need a star player to be back for. So it's a great time. Like if you have a nagging injury or something that you could play through, but could be fixed and feel a lot better if we just take some time to heal it. It's a great opportunity just right after the bowl game, kind of get that in. And so most guys are back and ready to go for spring ball.
Yeah. No, Matt, just as an offensive lineman, I think you played in every game last year, didn't miss a game. But, like, you know, about week what are you like, I'm just playing through the hurt, right? I'm playing through the injuries, right? Like, what is it's a bang up. It is what it is. Like, I'm just starting at week whatever. Like, I just know for the rest of the season, I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. That's a good question. I remember after our bye week after Georgia Tech, we had, I think it was like SMU, Florida State, NC State, maybe back to back. And after those 3 weeks, I remember like I was feeling it for sure. You know, icy hot before practice and stuff like that. But I feel like that's just part of the game. So whatever week that was, I think it was probably 6. Halfway through the season was really, because this is also kind of my first season really playing every game. So thankfully I didn't have as much wear and tear going into it, but probably around halfway through, I started feeling it.
I'm assuming too, as offensive lineman, like first of all, you guys are toughest players on the team, right? Yeah. I mean, but also like your position is kind of, it lends itself to being able to play through maybe some of those things. Maybe like a skill position, a wide receiver might not be able to do something like that, right? Like,
right.
But yeah, just tape it up, rub some dirt on it, get back out there.
That's right. That's right. Spoken by a true like grandfather.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, a little bit more about you guys, and obviously Duke fans looking forward to the spring game, whatever that's going to look like on April the 19th. And I know Duke is. I guess now there's still a lot of places having some sort of spring game / showcase, but a lot of places have kind of canceled that for a variety of different reasons. But for Duke fans that are interested, like, what do you think that day is going to bring, and kind of excitement about next year that they can see on April 19th?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we emphasize in the program is just being able to compete, and not only just compete, but compete to an excellent level. So, that's what we try to do every day. So hopefully when the spring game comes around, for us, it's nothing new, for the fans and stuff like that. It seems like a much bigger day, but, we go out there and compete every day. So hopefully it's just kind of letting you guys into it a little bit and see how we work. I mean, obviously last year we had a lot of, we call it ring the bell periods, where we bring the whole team up and do one-on-one scenario stuff like that, which I thought was really fun. So, hopefully more situations like that. A lot of touchdowns I'm hoping for. So
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Go, Brian.
It's also fun, like for us, looking forward to a spring game at the end. Like the fans get to come. It's a fun day. North Carolina weather this time of year is beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's like a fun day for everybody to kind of have a football. Families come out. Like everybody usually sees their family, and we all have fun competing in front of each other. Kind of cap off a good spring, heading into summer, and then season's right around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Because after spring ball and classes and whatnot, you guys have roughly like 4 to 6 weeks of like, kind of like, I guess you would say downtime, or a little bit of a break and breather. It might be 2 months, and then you're either already legitimately back in the saddle, here, or you're working out and doing all that stuff throughout those times, right?
Yeah. So we get back May, I think, 13th.
Yeah.
So that's when summer workouts kind of started.
Gotcha.
Because classes started on there. So I guess April 19th.
Yeah. So less than a month.
Yeah. Which it's interesting. We're just kind of a regular student for a couple weeks, get the body right, and then week or two at home, and then back to work.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like off-season workouts and whatnot, I think this is a record time of close to 10 minutes that I've had a podcast without David Feely's name getting dropped or brought up in some way. This is now year 4 of David Feely. This is his 4th season, and you guys' 4th season, right? And so just kind of walk me through. Like I understand that at first, it was like the shock factor of David Feely, and right what he did with certain guys. I know you guys are tight with Graham, and like just seeing like the back transformation of Graham Barton from like pre David Feely to post David Feely, and there's been others. But like, if you think back on the last 3 years, like how important has he been to keeping you guys healthy, to making sure you guys are the team that's the freshest in the fourth quarter, right? To where like you're waiting for the fourth quarter because that like you're more prepared for the wear and tear than the opposing team is. How much has David Feeley really meant to you guys?
A whole lot. Coming in freshman year, wide-eyed, getting into that Devo program, and that's kind of a shock to your world. David Feeley at 6 a.m., kind of redefining your views on life. And so, but no, he's been detrimental, and he's such a detrimental part to what we do. And
Instrumental
our
or
success.
detrimental?
Detrimental.
Instrumental.
Instrumental. Oh, yeah, wrong.
Hey, but hey, we'll
Duke
go with that.
education.
Econ major. Here.
Econ, right? There's no, we're not writing books here. We're not writing books, but no, instrumental part. No, and
CTE.
anyway.
Yeah.
I have something funny to say there, but I'm not going to because I don't want to have to take it out of the pod. But anyway, but no, what about you, Matt? Like just kind of your experience with Coach Feeley.
Yeah, I agree. I think Brian and I's class were also very fortunate because we came in our freshman summer was Coach Feeley's first summer, so we got to college football and we were just like, dang, this is what college football is like. But then I feel like kind of as you get older and we have transfers come in and go through the program and they talk about where they came from and what their previous strength coach was like or strength program, we kind of realized how special it is that we have Coach Feeley and how much he's able to push us towards where we want to be. And I can't say enough good things about him. I can't necessarily say that all the time when I'm doing when I'm doing running or something like that. It's different, but he truly wants what's best for us, which at times is rare. I feel like in college, some coaches are kind of out for themselves, but he just wants to see us succeed, and he means a lot to me and a lot to the team. So just the way he pushes us and the way he like you talked about, our just mentality and confidence in ourselves, I feel like a big part of it is from him.
Yeah, I think back to last season's games and just being brutally honest, the only game outside the bowl game, regular season game, where I felt like from watching that, like, man, the fourth quarter kind of got to us. The only game that I can say that was the Miami game. I believe literally every other game of the season, I feel like the Duke, both sides of the line, the D line and the offensive line in the fourth quarter was the fresher and and was just ready to go. And so once again, I know there's other things involved there, nutrition and other things that you're doing and from the top down and other coaches, but also trying to understand the value of the strength and conditioning coach and the fact that he can be with you more throughout the season, right? There's not the restrictions on him that there may be on others, and he can really kind of be your go-to person on the staff, almost 12 months out of the year. So
For sure.
Cool. So a little bit more about you guys kind of transitioning. So did a little bit of, looking around, researching. So Matt, you're at Dallas, Texas. Were you born in Dallas?
No, so I was actually born in Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh.
Lived there for two or 3 years, and then I moved to Ohio, actually. Lived in short stints in Dublin, Ohio.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
And then
big city.
I moved to Dallas when I was probably around 7 or 8.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was 18, and then I actually moved to Charlotte going into my freshman year. That summer, my parents moved to Charlotte. So,
Gotcha.
I grew up. I'm born. I feel like I'm raised in Dallas.
Yeah.
I went to pretty much all of my schooling there. So
Right.
I say I'm from Dallas, but now my parents live in Charlotte.
So what's the Dallas barbecue, man? What's the scene down there? What's the spot? If someone's visiting Dallas, you're going to the SMU game whenever we play down there sometime. What's the
There's
top?
a lot of good ones. I feel like, Lockhart is really good. That was always kind of my go-to. Cadillac is good, but I would say Lockhart is probably my go-to.
I'm big on like the hole in the wall place. Like typically the lower the sanitation grade, the better the food. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a little sketchy because that's where the good food's at.
Yeah,
so.
there's a lot of those for sure. You can find them.
For sure. Well, your dad played college football at Vandy.
He did.
Was he offensive lineman as well?
He was.
Okay, offensive lineman. So, obviously, I don't know where Vandy played in on any of your recruitment or anything like that. I have no clue. I didn't look that up, so I'm literally asking this kind of. But how did you land at Duke? And maybe did the influence of your dad getting a Vanderbilt, a Duke light, right, education, but like a Duke similar education at Vanderbilt, did that weigh into your decision at all when you were looking?
For sure. I mean, to be honest, growing up, like all I ever wanted to do was be like my dad, and he went to higher education, Power 5 school, and that's what I wanted to do. And And I took a visit to Duke and fell in love with just the place and the people here, and felt like this was a good place for me, and I couldn't have been more right. I love it here, and that definitely played a big factor. I mean, he always told me like you'll make a lot more money with your mind than you do with your body. So education was a big factor playing into my decision. So we say we are the best of both worlds, and I truly think we do. Yeah. Also, shout out to Henry's dad.
Okay.
Because he played at Vanderbilt as well.
Yes. So. Yeah, Mr. B, Pastor B.
Yeah, Pastor B.
Pastor B, man.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. And I'll let you guys both answer this. So if I'm doing the timeline properly, you guys were recruited by Cutcliffe staff. Yep. Came here first season under Elko's first season.
Yep.
And now I've gone through basically your third in a sense. Now, technically Cutcliffe wasn't your head coach, but was recruited. So kind of walk us through, if you want to individually answer that, like walk us through your mentality on like committing to a university, right? Committing to a school. And I understand the head coach and whoever your head lead recruiter had a major role in that. But ultimately you guys both deciding that like the Duke name and what Duke offered as a university was enough to bring you here.
Yeah, for me, Cutcliffe loved Cutcliffe and his staff and the guys, and like I met a lot of players, and so like met Graham and Monk and those kind of guys, and so just knowing like that the people at this university were so elite, and then obviously the school and playing in the ACC Power 5 was something I didn't want to get rid of, and so unfortunately when Cutcliffe stepped down, but then Coach Elko, as soon as he got the job, called us all, and so I had to talk with him, felt really comfortable, and it was just something I couldn't walk away from. Just knowing that the people were so high caliber here was something that meant a lot to me. And one of the older guys, I came from a high school where a lot of guys go on to play kind of higher up college football, and he said, don't ever really pick the coaches because they tend to move around a lot in this industry, but pick the people that are going to be there with you for 4 years.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. I mean, and we're in this world now where I know this is basketball season. I don't know if you guys know Duke has a basketball program, but no, you're seeing it in college basketball now. I mean, you're seeing coaches take other jobs while their teams are still playing, and in the tournament and stuff like that, and that's just the harsh reality, of where we're at. Matt, you want to kind of talk to kind of your thought process?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a very similar process. Recruited by Coach Cutcliffe. I mean, official visit came here with Coach Cut's staff and those guys, but same thing as Brian. I met Graham and Nicky Dalmolin, guys on the team. Jake Bobo, I remember.
Shout out more Bobo.
Yeah,
more Bobo.
Shout out him. I met him when I was a recruit, and at the end of the day, like Duke as a school is never going to change, right? So that was a big factor, and I came from a Jesuit school similar to Brian, so. There's also guys that were older that played football, and they told me commit to the school and the program, not the coaches. Which as a recruit, I was like, yeah, that makes sense, But now it's like
you've actually lived it out. Yeah.
Very true.
So in the world we live in, though, I mean, a little over a year and a half ago, you guys were kind of faced with another decision, right? I mean, because head coaching change and in the day and age in which we live, you guys have complete freedom to, to make your decisions and to move around wherever you wanted to move. What was it about, Coach Diaz, or once again, and I'm not no shade to him at all, obviously, but was it still just like the fact that, no, I'm a Duke guy, I committed to Duke, and that's where I want to be? But how did that process kind of work?
Yeah, for me, I mean, when Coach Elko left, there was a lot of uncertainty, which we had felt as recruits. I mean, Coach Cutcliffe left a week before signing day. Yeah. And I think Coach Elko got hired like 3 or 4 days before we signed maybe. So it was kind of a similar situation, but at the end of the day, like we were part of the culture and part of the program. And I mean, we said when Coach Cutcliffe left, like we said in our classes group chat with like VJ, Chandler, and Wes, all those guys, like we want to come to Duke and help change the program and do something special. So at the end of the day, our main concern, I feel like, was just keeping everybody else here, and we also really wanted to keep Coach Feeley, so we were very adamant about that. But I mean, I just had faith that whoever we brought in, and we're lucky to have Coach Diaz, but whoever we brought in, we were going to continue to raise the standard, and uphold the standard that we've made and that older guys have made and left. So for me, it wasn't really even a thought to leave.
Similar?
Yeah, similar. I kind of remember there was a time like after it all went down, we found out about Midnight Mike on the plane.
Yeah.
The next morning, we all kind of got together, and we kind of came to the same conclusion that like we didn't want to leave. Like we're all really good friends. We all live together in the same apartment building. Like
Right.
we're all super close. And then what was really reassuring was Dr. King came down and she was like, I want you guys to I want to hear what you guys want.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody being able to say like, we need to keep Coach Feeley. And she like listened, obviously, and then kind of like what we were looking for in the coach. And so like her involvement kind of like eased what was going to come next. And then obviously getting Coach Diaz was something that we're all very comfortable with, a Power 5 previous head coach and somebody that just had, I mean, I think the year before at Penn State, he had like the number 2 defense.
Yeah.
So I think there was really after that, there was no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. And yes, but thinking through that, thinking through the hire of Coach Diaz and obviously with Nina King coming and talking and really spearheading that, right? Thinking about Coach Feeley and what you've said about him previously, just in conversations I've had with him, I believe a lot of his decisions on, staying here at Duke, and I think there was even a couple of like random reports of him, following Coach L go to College Station. Really for him a lot, and not to put words in his mouth, but came down to like a family, like his family, and just making decisions maybe even for himself and his family outside of football, right? That's best for him. How does that, when someone kind of makes that decision and commits to this school, through the coaching change, and it's the easy thing to do, right, is to follow your guy, right? So Coach Elko gave him a shot coming here, is to follow your guy to College Station. There's probably, honestly, maybe even more money there, whatever. What does that tell you guys about Feeley as a person?
I think it just kind of like reassures everybody on the outside that like all this talk about him is true. Like he is a man of value, of family, and of loyalty. And so like doing that was just, I think, another testament of his character and why the players you'll find love him so much.
Yeah. Well, Brian, we hadn't talked about you, man. We know old Dallas Charlotte boy over there, just claim Dallas, man. Not that I'm
trust me.
I'm a Durham guy.
I only claim Dallas.
I was about to say because
the
the Raleigh-Durham area is just superior in every way to Charlotte. I just have to throw that out there. The Hurricanes are superior to both the Panthers and the Hornets, and it just is what it is.
No, honestly, I mean, I go back home and it doesn't even necessarily feel like home because all my friends and stuff are back home, and I know everywhere in Dallas. But,
there you go.
So don't worry, I only claim Dallas.
They got Lake Norman, I guess you can give them that, but other than that,
But Todd's
it's Todd.
Yeah. We'll get to Todd.
Then it gets weird.
Cornelius.
That's the hood. So Brian, you're an Ohio kid. Like it says Cincinnati. Was that actual Cincinnati?
Yeah, born in South Jersey. Then we moved to Cincinnati. Lived in a suburb called Indian Hill.
Okay.
And then went to high school at St. Xavier, kind of middle of Cincinnati.
All right. So obviously, if we're talking Cincinnati, Dallas got to give them credit for the barbecue. Cincinnati, I'll leave my judgment.
Skyline chili.
I'm bringing it up because I got to hear. And let's see if our takes align on Skyline chili. What are your thoughts, Mr. Parker?
So I've found that, because I lived in Cincinnati for a long time, but originally being from New Jersey, I did not find Skyline good. I found that only kids born in Cincinnati could truly enjoy Skyline.
And for people who don't know what Skyline chili is, it's like a spaghetti noodle.
Yeah, spaghetti noodles. And
this
then
is good for me also because he's been talking about the Skyline chili every year and how much he despises it.
Okay.
And I still don't know what it is. So.
We're on the same page.
Yeah,
here.
well, because every time you say I lived in Cincinnati, or I'm from Cincinnati, everybody's like, oh, Skyline chili, it's got to be so good.
You're like, no, it actually sucks.
It's the worst thing ever in my opinion.
So they add like cinnamon.
Yeah, they put cinnamon, all sorts of stuff. It's like wet dog food on some noodles, and they put a bunch of fake processed cheese
on top. Yeah, man. I had some friends from that area, and they're like, you have got to try it. And I showed up, and I'm like, you're trying to be kind, and I'm just like,
it's not good. And then after every high school game or whatever, we'd go support the basketball team. Everybody's like, oh, we're going to Skyline. The only good thing about it is pretty cheap.
Yeah,
I'll
true.
give it that.
True.
So.
Yeah, no. So then, if we're going to Cincinnati, it doesn't have to be obviously not chili. If we're going to Cincinnati, what's a spot that maybe no one would know about? But
it used to be called Terry's Turf Club. It's just the Turf Club now, but it's this insane burger place down the street. I lived on like top of a little hill. It's pretty hilly there. Right down the bottom of the valley is the Turf Club.
Okay.
Was on diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Nice.
Little
triple
hole
D.
in the wall.
Yeah, little
great big burgers. They're impeccable. Or you got to go to
Have you ever been to a spot called House of Belgium?
the waffles place. Yeah, but that's kind of
Is that a chain?
It's kind of like a chain.
Okay, the only place I've had it is in Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's kind of like a chain. I mean, it's not bad, but
It's not a Turf Club.
Favorite. No, it's in the Turf Club or Eli's Barbecue. And then if you want to go out to a fancy dinner, you got to go out to a Ruby's restaurant.
Okay. All right, so we got a couple spots.
Yeah.
If you're listening or watching in your Cincinnati, that's what you need to do. But no, that's cool. So just to get you guys, you mentioned we threw out Todd's name a little bit ago. You mentioned Darian earlier. You guys during your break before spring started, I know you guys got down to Florida.
Yeah.
And hung out. There were several of you, like what, 12 of you or so?
Yeah, there was a good crew of us.
Yes. Maybe more. I just saw a couple photos. Yeah, I think Hazley was there.
Yeah.
So it was us two. There was 8 of us.
Okay. Okay.
And then there was
another house.
Okay.
And yeah, that was fun. It was good. I mean, we always have fun together, especially when we're on the beach. So it was a good time.
So fishing or?
We did actually do a little bit of fishing.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I had to.
Brian was like, so Brian's a big fishing guy. For those that don't know,
that's passed down because I think in Barton, Graham's. Is he kind of does he enjoy that or no? Maybe it could be wrong.
So like for me, like this is a family thing. Like,
okay.
I come from like the Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
so that's
okay.
the saltwater stuff. But we were having fun off the back of the dock. At the house we got was on the canal, and I got some like chicken nuggets from DoorDash, and we put out some lines, and we were catching all sorts of fun stuff off the dock. And then these guys want to try and catch a shark
with our hands. Actually,
we were
catching it,
nice,
ripping them out. Yeah, then we put a live bait out there.
Yeah,
Never got the shark, but thought we had a chance.
Yeah, for sure. So in that crew, who do you got to watch out for? In every crew, there's like there's a wild card, right? So
Jerry, gotta watch out.
Jerry.
For Jerry.
All right,
Jeremiah Hazley.
Okay.
He's a sneaky wild card.
Sneaky wild card.
You know, he
Jerry likes to have fun.
So how important is it to have a transfer quarterback who's obviously leading the offense? How important is it for those types of things, right? He was down there on that trip with you guys. Darian was. How important is that just for the camaraderie's sake? And I know you want to build that with each quarterback that you ever play with. So how important are those types of things to building the chemistry that you need, heading in, to this coming fall?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's incredibly important, especially being linemen.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge for us because I think it's easy and it gets kind of overlooked. Like he comes to this new school. He had his friends at Tulane. I'm sure he has his friends back in San Luis Obispo.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's easy to just for him to say, hey, I'm just going to go back home and see my old friends or whatever the case may be. But really like a month into him being here, we asked him like, oh, what are you doing for spring break? And he's like, oh, I don't know yet. So he came with us and it was awesome. It was good to get to know him. I mean, all the guys that we stayed with at the house felt like they all got closer to him and. We all came out of it saying like, he's truly a great guy, and he's one of those guys that you just want to see succeed. So it was great. And
obviously, in this world of, in the transfer portal world, Duke has been, semi-active but very selective, really. In the type of person that they bring in. A lot of the guys, especially like on the line or in certain positions, a linebacker, they bring in, maybe some Ivy League type guys that have a lot of snaps and those types of things. And as far as the transfers goes, there's only a couple that are here for spring ball. Is that right? A lot of them come for summer.
In the summer. Yeah, I mean, we have Josiah and Saul right now.
And Josiah's on the interior defensive line?
Yeah.
So kind of that Kendi Charles-ish spot.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Next to Aaron. But I mean, you're right. There's definitely, we feel like we have a good culture here, so we wouldn't want to bring anyone that, could alter that culture at all. So
Yeah, then you also find guys that kind of come in and aren't with the culture, don't thrive. But like you can tell, but after a while, usually they're forced to assimilate because it's such a strong culture that it kind of people are almost overwhelmed sometimes when they get here because of how different it can be. Because college can be every man for themselves, but here we do a good job. It's a really tight team environment.
Yeah, and I think you hear people say that, and that was one of the things Manny even said when he was hired, was the way that Feeley talked about the locker room, and Manny was almost like it was kind of unbelievable. I kind of thought he was just saying that, but then you get here and it's like, no, this locker room actually is, it is really tight, and they do, they want the best for each other and those types of things. Speaking of the talent, difference, and maybe bringing in someone from a smaller school, high snaps, take a guy, let's use Ozzie last year, right? Princeton, I believe.
Yep.
And, how long, because I'm sure that it did take a little bit of time for him to, kind of acclimate to the speed of the ACC and the things that he would face here compared to the, I guess the level of, competition that he was used to. How quickly did you guys see, and I know Alex may have been a little bit of a different story, because Alex was, a little bit more sought after, and I think he did his spring ball at even Texas A&M before coming, here. But so Ozzie specifically, when was it where you're like, oh, this guy, he could lead us in tackles, and he ended up leading us in tackles, I believe, by the time the season was over. When did you guys see that where it kind of clicked for him and he was?
I just remember the summer OTA walkthroughs. Ozzie used to go a million miles an hour in these walkthroughs.
Hard.
He was going hard. Like, it was his Super Bowl for these walkthroughs. So I feel like he eventually calmed down a little bit after he kind of realized. But no, I feel like coming from the Ivy League, it can vary. And Ozzie and guys like Fossey, who's Micah Sahakian, were really top players out of that league. And I feel like they transitioned fairly quickly. Like Ozzie, I would say halfway through fall camp, I was like, yeah, this guy is going to be a player.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Nick gets hurt, and then Ozzie's kind of pushed into that, I think, Mike linebacker role. And then, like I said, by the time the season's over, it's like going back and forth between him and Alex on who's going to wind up leading the team in tackles, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could see it when Ozzie got here, just like physically and in the weight room. Like, he's a big dude, and he's ripped up. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, after Nick got hurt and Ozzie kind of stepped in, like everyone kind of realized like this dude can play. But I feel like even if you're coming from Ivy Leagues or if you're at a smaller school like that, like if you can play football, you can play. So,
yeah.
And obviously, like it takes a little bit to get adjusted to and stuff like that. But there's guys like that our coaches do a good job finding every year that come in and help us. So.
You mentioned Micah. What was the nickname you get?
Fozzie.
Fozzie. What's that?
That's
his middle name.
It's his middle name, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't mean like brother or something.
Yeah, I think it does mean something.
Yeah,
like
it means
that.
like friend or brother.
Okay.
Or something. But,
so
or Habibi.
obviously,
Habibi. We call him Habibi,
Habibi,
which means brother.
Okay.
Or Fozzie.
Or Fozzie, which is his middle name. Or Habib T, which means we don't call him this, but if there's any girls watching, he's single.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's looking for his
single
Habib
brother.
T, which means no.
Okay.
Habib T means like your love.
Okay.
Your spouse.
So he's looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hopeful.
So he comes in last year. I know he was hurt for the majority of the season, but a little bit different this year. Last year, your offensive line, I don't think you guys met until July or August, like as a unit. And this year, if you kind of place Micah in to that starting role, you really have your core back. Mm-hmm. And how important is that? And I know you guys made it work last year, but how important is it to have the cohesiveness all the way from off-season workouts through spring ball into the summer?
Yeah, I think it's huge, especially a line. It's a fist. Got to punch with all fingers closed, or you're gonna hurt your hand. But no, it's huge for us, especially coming back on 2 years now, basically.
Yeah. And
then me, Pickett, and Craig, three almost 4 years together. So we feel really comfortable together. We're all close friends. We all hang out all the time. So it's huge for an offensive line unit. You have to be tight in that room.
Yeah, for sure. Because if we can just talk a little bit about last season, and I didn't play football, so I have a legitimate football question. As an offensive line, obviously you're trying to get that cohesiveness, that fist, and trying to all punch in the same direction. How big of a struggle was that? Early on in the season to get that, and then. Well, I'll ask that first. Let you guys kind of answer that first. How did that go? Say the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And you're the center, right? So you're like you're like kind of the play caller, and you're calling out the protection and things.
I mean,
right?
I'd like to think
guy.
I did a good job. ID in it in terms of that,
Humbly.
in terms of that regard. But no, it is. I mean, it's hard to say, you know, when that moment was where we really started clicking. But I will say, like, bringing pretty much everybody back is huge because, especially like for me, I love it because, you know, there's times like even today, you know, there's a play where, you know, we're making certain calls and, you know, I can just say like Pickett's name and he knows kind of what I'm asking or what I'm looking for. And then he can tell me like yes or no. The other day in a meeting, it was like just the older guys and, you know, it's like pretty niche like blitz basically that we were seeing against a certain play. You know, some guys it's still up in the air, but some guys wanted to add a call. Some guys wanted to change the term for it. So having, you know, moments like that, I think is really
huge.
Good
term.
Okay.
Everybody know that.
yeah, which I disagree with Brian's term. I think it's too many things to think about, but
we'll see who wins by the time the season starts.
We'll see. But yeah, just having, you know, moments like that where it's, you know, okay, we're in year 2 of the offense. You know, instead of saying, okay, this is the play that we're trying to run, this is who we're going to. Now we're saying, okay, if they do this, you know, if they bring this blitz, then what are we doing? What's our call? Stuff like that, I think is huge. And we're, you know, starting to have moments like that, which is big. And it's good to be, you know, tight-knit to each other. And you can have those conversations in a mature way.
Yeah.
Also, we can see our strengths that we play together with and also our weaknesses. So we can take this extra time in the spring and the summer to kind of correct what we weren't so great at last year and help us kind of propel forward.
Twitter can tell you what you weren't great at last year. I mean, if you guys just read
ask
it,
the comment section.
just ask the comments. I mean, they've got you.
Why are we running 200 yards?
Yeah.
So I do have a question about that, and objective question. So, is it possible to be a better run blocking offensive line than pass blocking, or vice versa? And how does that kind of go into, like, you know, because obviously those are different calls, they're different. It's a different protection. It's a different type of hitting, I'm assuming. And so how does that work? Like, because, you know, there were certain games and are certain games where it feels like, you know, holes opened up easier and running was easier. Other games where it was like nobody was getting even close, you know, to Malik back in the, you know what I mean? How does that work as an offensive lineman? Are there certain guys or just schemes that just seem to be better for one versus the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, like some guys are better at pass than run, but I mean, it's varies so much every week. I mean, here's what I will say: as a unit, like we can 100% be a better run blocking unit, and that's our goal. And you know, I think we're a good pass blocking unit. I don't think we were great, and I think that's what we're chasing, and we're trying to be great in both aspects. But yeah, I mean, you can be better at run or pass, in my opinion, and especially as we play different teams. Like, you know, certain teams run certain schemes and certain pressures pretty consistently that can cause a lot of problems and kind of mess up our rules. So I think, yeah, it varies week to week.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, certain guys are better at certain things. Obviously, everybody can be great at everything. But a lot of the time, you're going to find, like, teams we play all have different schemes, and some schemes, like, make it incredibly hard to run inside zone. And so then we're going to have a bigger passing game, or we're going to pressure us to pass the ball more. Some teams believe that they can beat us by making us run the ball. So that's where sometimes you'd see the fluctuations last seasons in our run game versus pass game numbers.
PFF doesn't lie, though, right? I mean, so
No, that's not.
PFF.
Not for this guy.
Yeah, so both of you, but I mean, Matt, you got your own little, top 10, well, I forget what the exact thing was, like top 10 center or something like that. I believe PFF graded last year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Don't
act like you don't know, man. Come on, you know.
He had, I mean, I got like a team of the week thing one time.
Okay,
He
yeah.
got top 9 or whatever.
Well, you just had to carry on the Graham Barton PFF legacy.
torch,
Which
yeah.
is really, and I'm going to give a big throwback here, the John Gillott legacy.
Yeah,
the John
okay.
Before
Gillott.
he got hurt.
Okay, yeah. Big boy.
He was
like
PFF
6'7", like big old.
Yeah, Big
Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
Big John.
Our freshman year. Yep.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, Graham really, like, I feel like that put Graham like on the map for like what ended up taking place in his career was like, and that was kind of early PFF. Like, I mean, it was something, but like, I feel like it's gotten way more popular the last couple of seasons. But like that first year for Graham, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like, and I still am not exactly sure how they come up with their grades. But it seems pretty trustworthy because the guys they rate high typically, wind up getting drafted high and things like. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
No, I got a friend at PFF somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how they grade it, to be honest with you. Sometimes
formula.
I wonder that myself. I feel like, there's some games I feel like I play great and I get a lower score, and there's some games that wasn't my best game and I get a higher score. But
I think we're all curious about their run game formula. I don't know how they score the run game.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's part of like the allure of it, though, right? It's kind of like not exactly sure how you came up with these grades, but like glad to be on the graphic, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So I forgot to ask you this, Brian, because we went straight to Skyline Chili and started dunking on Skyline Chili. Obviously, a big part of your storyline is that your cousin happens to be Derek Lively. I'm not sure if anybody knew that, right? No, your cousin happens to be Derek Lively. Can you talk me through a little bit? And you guys, did you come in the same year, or he came a year after? Or?
No, we're the same year. I'm a month older than Derek.
Okay. So how did that work? I mean, was it more? I guess the best way to ask this question: did any decision have any bearing on anyone else, or was that legitimately like own separate decisions, or was it kind of like, hey, it'd be kind of cool to like go to the same school?
We definitely always thought like we grew up really close. Obviously, our moms or sisters, they're super tight, and so we always thought it'd be cool to go to the same school together. And I remember like he liked Kentucky. I took a visit to Kentucky. It wasn't my favorite. And then I came down to Duke right before 4th of July. Every year, 4th of July, the whole family's at the shore. And so I came down here, fell in love with it. I think I committed like a week or two before 4th of July. And so I go up there, and we're having fun one night as a family out on like the back. We have a big back deck. And I was just like I was poking at him. I'm like, like, why not do it? Like, Coach K, like, Duke basketball. And he's like, fine. He goes and takes a visit. And he fell in love as well. So we kind of decided, we're like, yeah, let's do it. Like, come on, this is cool.
What we need to hear, I'm not sure that any basketball fans listen to this podcast because we are football only. We don't acknowledge the fact that Duke plays other sports.
The only time I watched Duke basketball was when Derek played.
There you go. Okay, so you're in this. But if Duke basketball fans are listening, they can semi thank Brian Parker.
Yeah, they can big time thank me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure that John Shire and Mike Krzyzewski didn't have as much to do with it. It's probably maybe like a third.
No, it was cool because I got to meet Coach K one time.
Oh, there you go.
And then, I know Coach Shire. Like, I see him around campus. I know all the basketball people, and Rachel works there, and they're all super friendly. So I'm pretty close with them still, which is cool. And then shout out my boy Tyrese. He's kind of the only guy left from when Derek was there.
Yeah, and my man is absolutely hot. We are taping this after the Duke Baylor win, so now it's 3 games in a row, I think, of 5 or 6 3-pointers for him. I think anyway, it's pretty crazy. This is not a basketball podcast. I have to reiterate that. It's not a basketball podcast.
I'm not a basketball fan.
There you go. No, but that's awesome. And then obviously, Derek has gone on, in his NBA career and just been super successful. And I would argue that, the connection that he had developed with Luka was just like absolutely best case, perfect scenario. Even this is my unsought opinion here, but even to the point that I believe LA was looking to make that trade for Mark Williams because they were looking for a Derek Lively type player to put with Luka with the Lakers. So, what are your thoughts on his NBA career so far?
He's had a great rookie season. He's killing it. He's a little banged up right now, so he's got to get back healthy. But no, he's doing real well, and it's pretty cool to see him do what he loves. And
got an opportunity when he gets back play alongside AD.
AD, and unfortunately Kyrie just went down.
I know they've been riddled with injuries. He's a big Lego guy. Are you? Do you share that Lego passion?
Growing up, we were huge Lego guys. I had this big like Tupperware bin, and just random Legos that all my older cousins gave me. So we used to build Legos, and then he kind of got back into it. Unfortunately, his mom, Aunt Kath, passed away from cancer, and so that was kind of like an escape. We always played Legos, and then Black Ops Call of Duty.
Okay.
Black Ops 2 Zombies. We'd always play together.
So Lego, that's a potential because he's done. I know Legos like send him some stuff because they kind of know you.
He's working on that Legos
deal
for forever because like he was talking about it, he's like Lego like never sends anybody anything. He's like, I'd love to get it. I'm like, well, if you keep trying, I mean, eventually,
Yeah, they're gonna notice.
can't hurt. I'm like, you're gonna buy it anyway. So
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really cool to hear the family connection and obviously I know this from knowing your family a little bit, but just as he went through that process of your aunt passing away, and just the way that he I think really leaned on your mom and you know and you know her support during that time. And I think a lot of times people hear, oh, they're cousins, and it's like, okay, cool, they may have seen each other once a year or so, but like you guys were legitimately tight. Your family is really tight knit there, and that's a really cool, you know, kind of storyline to your Duke career as well. That's cool. So we'll kind of finish up with just some like getting to know you, like favorites, some stuff like that. I guess we'll start out easy. So like greatest all time movie.
Shutter Island.
Oh, really?
That's my go.
I've never heard someone say that. I've asked many people that question.
Really?
Yeah. So
What
give
are
me
your
the case
common
for it.
answers? What are your common answers?
Shawshank Redemption
Yeah.
is probably the most common answer. Had some like Godfather people, but probably Shawshank's probably, and that's mine. Maybe that's why I think that.
Yeah.
But that's the one I heard the most. What, Brian?
Full Metal Jacket.
Okay, that's actually the second one. There was another football player.
There's no way.
Someone
Full
said
Metal
that.
Jacket.
So another football player said that.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Who was it? Do you remember?
I forget who it was. It may have been. We asked a bunch of the transfer guys last year, also like quick hitters, and they may have said that.
I thought he was going to say Godfather.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love, like,
Godfather.
for me, it's like a top three is like Full Metal Jacket, Godfathers, and then Goodfellas.
Okay, yeah.
But
What about Comet? Okay, go ahead.
to answer your question, Shutter Island, I love movies that like
a
make you
great movie.
think.
Yeah.
And I remember watching it and like, I don't know. There's all these little scenes and stuff that, like the scene where the crazy lady has the cup and then she goes to drink it, doesn't have the cup, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what was that?
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
So like so a thinking movie. So like, are you like an Interstellar?
Okay, so this is, I've been saying.
Is this about to become a conspiracy podcast?
No, it's not. But
right.
Need Shep in here.
yeah, get Coach Shepard in here. He's
Okay.
big on conspiracies,
Big
but
conspiracy.
no. So I've actually never seen Interstellar,
Okay.
and I know it's like a big, kind of a similar movie. So this whole semester, like since January, I've been saying I'm gonna watch Interstellar, but when I watch it, I want it to be like, I'm sitting down,
You're focused.
just locked in on it, and I feel like that night hasn't come yet. So
Okay.
we'll see.
What about comedy? You guys have like, how about this? Like a stand-up comedian? Who's your favorite comedian?
Question. Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
Okay.
Shane
Great.
Gillis is
Both of
pretty
you?
Funny.
Bert Kreischer is pretty funny.
Yeah. Shane's Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Got the
he
Notre
is.
Dame connection. Did he actually? I don't think he went there, right? He's
I
just a
don't
fan.
No, he's
I think,
every
like, his
Midwestern
uncle-
person ever.
His
Yeah.
uncle went there
Yeah.
or something like that.
He is. I can get that. Yeah, for real. He is a Midwest, like a
it's-
typical.
Cincinnati, everybody's a Notre Dame fan, but nobody went there.
Yeah. That's what people say about Duke. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fair.
So Shane Gillis. All right, that's fair. What about a movie that's a comedy?
I mean, you can't go wrong with Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Talladega Nights.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know, Brian. What are some good ones? I feel like we've watched 100 movies together.
yeah.
Brian and
Yeah, semi-pro for me.
Okay. Yeah.
My mom's from Detroit, and my grandfather was like a 6'10" basketball player.
I saw. Yeah. He played. I was looking up.
Xavier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then, but my mom's joke was he always played on the Flint Tropics because he played in like those ABA leagues.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny. I found it funny.
That's
Mega
awesome.
Bowl.
Yeah, the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Flint, Michigan
Yeah,
Mega
that
Bowl.
was.
That was a.
I was saying that before we played Wake Forest for the state championship. Me and Coach Brewer actually found it pretty funny. Every time I'd be like Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl, Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Speaking of the state championship, what'd you think about the little
smoking
trophy?
pig?
Yeah,
That
the
thing
smoking
was
pig.
sweet. Yeah.
So Jalen Coleman had made a part of that. I forget,
Yeah.
former running back. I think he was still here when you guys were here, right?
Yeah,
First year?
yeah.
And
sophomore.
he was sending me photos while he was like whatever part he was working on. He was like sending me photos like, dude, look what I'm doing. Like they're gonna. The only thing that would have sucked is if we would have not won that game. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that was kind of all for nothing.
almost.
I'm not gonna ask you about that specific play, but I was in the stands and I'm just like, what is going on? And then like, yes, it's going, like it's happening. But yeah, that was interesting for sure.
Yeah,
But,
no, that was cool because we, Coach Diaz would put the trophy up on the screen for like weeks. He had it
Yeah.
up there, and we were like, all right, it's cool, but we didn't think they would actually like make one, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they made it, and the pig actually was like,
And it actually had a little smoke.
it was
Yeah.
smoky, and it was pretty cool. It was fun.
I actually hope that not that I don't want us to keep that, obviously. Like, I think it would actually be cool within, because, at least for Duke, we're playing all those schools every year.
Yeah, with the new ACC.
Yeah, and kind of like whoever gets the winning record ought to have it for
get a little
until
more
the next
official
year.
trophy would be.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
Similar to the Victory Bell,
Yeah.
which is over in the Yo still.
Sitting in there.
With the Hellraiser on
There
it.
to
Lovely
stay.
to have.
Exactly. Got to keep that. Okay. But back to some favorites now. What about your favorite non-football athlete? I mean, you can't say Derek because that's lame.
Yeah.
Can we say like a past?
Yeah.
Brian, go first. I'm gonna keep thinking. I mean, Jordan. I feel like
So you're a Jordan over LeBron guy?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, which is gonna make a lot of guys on the team upset.
Yeah, because younger guys tend to side.
It's kind of recency bias.
Yeah, a little
I feel
bit.
like, which is
Are you gauging that off of the championships and just like the killer mentality?
Yeah, I think the mentality and awards on top of the championships.
The MVPs,
The MVPs,
defensive player of the year. Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a Jordan
The
guy.
longevity though of LeBron can't be.
It's impressive.
40 years old and he's still ridiculous. And I do think that the voting in the NBA has gotten a little bit weird, oddly political in the fact that like they don't like giving the same award to the same guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very difficult
Yeah.
now to get like a back-to-back MVP. Like it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So,
No, for
but
sure.
but I'm with you. I'm more of obviously in that era of Jordan and grew up watching him. So
Yeah, I would say also. I was a big Sidney Crosby guy growing up. I played hockey.
yeah.
So I'm a big fan of a lot of hockey players. So
Did
Sidney
you
Crosby.
like the friendlies, the stuff they just did, like the U.S. and Finland and
Yeah,
Canada?
that was
like,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
USA and Canada dropping the gloves.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
That was awesome. With the Kachuk brothers.
Yep.
Honestly, like those two guys are two of my favorite players. So yeah, I love that. We were watching that in our apartment. It's me, Jeremiah, and Brian. So I love
nice.
that.
So you guys, by the way, that's the
That's our.
that's your three.
It's us three. And
Nice.
then, yeah, there's probably
I think
like,
there's,
13 or 14 or 15.
Other guys that live in.
They live
Yes.
in
In the
So,
same complex,
yeah.
yeah. Cool. What about you? Non-football.
Mine's a little abstract. Todd Frazier. He was a baseball player for the. When we moved to Cincinnati, he was, I think, the third baseman for the Reds.
Okay.
And so that's a fun thing to do is Friday night family games, and they did the fireworks. But so he was like, I remember he walked out to Bruce Springsteen, and so being like a Jersey kid, like,
Yeah.
it was something like kind of connecting to like where we
Yeah,
came
yeah.
from.
That's cool.
And they
Thought
threw
you
me
were
a ball.
saying Chris
one time.
Sabo. Do you know that name?
No.
That was a '90s, like mid-'90s third baseman for the Reds. Wore the rec specs, so he was putting out the vibes back in the mid-'90s.
I played. I went to high school with Pete Rose's grandson.
Okay. I won't ask your opinion on if Pete Rose ought to be in the.
He should. I don't know.
I'm with you.
Peter Rose. I think PJ's the third or something.
Yeah.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, pretty wild. Okay. So I guess kind of to close it down. What are you guys? Obviously fans are will listen and watch. Third year in a row of 8+ wins for this program. Trying to quickly kind of put the previous however many 20 years, and there was a blip of good. Of solid football there, but really, if you look back at the history, really trying to kind of put down that notion that it's just Duke football, right? Mm-hmm. So what can Duke fans expect going into this coming season, knowing that you guys are coming off of 3 straight, 8-win plus seasons as a program?
Yeah, I think our goal is to win a national championship at the end of the day, and that's been our goal every year. And I feel like every year we get we're closer and closer to the steps that we need to take to get there. Obviously, expanding it to a 12-team playoff is huge. You got to get to the ACC championship first and win it, and that's our goal, and that's our standard. And we're not, I feel like, I'm not going to speak on the past, obviously, but going to a bowl game, I know was awesome for Duke after not going for a little bit, but we're not happy with just going to a bowl game, just winning 8 or 9, 10 games. We want to win it all. So that's our goal. That's our standard, and that's what we're working for every day.
Yeah, and you can feel it in the building. Like when we were first here, and guys would talk about like we want to go to the ACC championship and we want to win a national championship. Maybe our first year or two here, like guys were like, yeah, like sure, we're Duke football. Like we'll see if that ever happens. But like as we continue to show like we can compete with the best of the best year in and year out, and we bring back all this talent and we bring in new talent, we bring the number one quarterback out of the transfer portal. Like the school has so much to offer, and like you can feel it more and more every year. And I'm feeling like this year, this spring, like the confidence I feel is kind of starting to really get there to like where everybody's like, yeah, you know what, we can do this. Like we have the pieces. Like we've stumbled into something great here. And like you can see it in the energy in the first. I mean, it's only been the first 5-6 days, whatever, spring ball, but like the guys, like you can start to sense that people believe, and that's the biggest step for us. And so that's what I think fans can kind of get excited for is like this team is not only talent wise ready to go, but like mentally to the point where they're like, you know what, let's go do this thing. Not saying the past teams weren't, but there was always maybe that little voice in the back of your head, like, yeah, sure, it's still Duke football. But with the continued success that we've had these past few years, it kind of pushes us forward to be like, you know, it's time.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think people are talking enough about the fact that, you know, were there 4 scholarship players that transferred, maybe 4, maybe 5 at the most, transferred out, and I mean that's just unheard of in this day and age, and just the fact that I mean you mentioned I think Matt earlier like that class of like Chandler and Wes and like and all you guys coming and VJ and staying through Aaron and staying through and really seeing this thing, you know, out. I think, you know, there's definitely the foundation there. And then as the transfer portal allows you to add, you know, really pieces of need where in the past you'd have to wait 2-3 years to develop out, let's say the wide receiver room. You have to, you know, stay a couple of years out really to develop that again after losing Eli and Jordan. Well, now it's like you can still develop your Chase Tylers and your Spencer Jones and your Queso and those types of people, but also you could supplement that very easily, you know, with a couple of the guys, you know, Andrew and Cooper that we've landed that aren't here yet. But like you can supplement that through the portal, and so you really can take that next step up quicker than, you know, you probably used to.
Yeah.
So for sure. Well, guys, thanks for being on, man. I really appreciate you taking some time out during spring ball. My 3 co-hosts were not here today. They have jobs, and so you know they were not here, but Brian and Scott and Jamie. But Matt, really appreciate you being on. Brian, appreciate you being on. Thank you for listening and watching to an off-season episode of the Section 17 podcast.